Hey guys, welcome to the Bourboneering podcast. I'm your host, Austin. Let's get started. So today is the introduction into my new series. This series is for the next 3 weeks on the Friday episode. It's going to be about whiskey pairings. Today's episode is just a quick introduction to all that, but I'm going to give you a rundown of the next 3 episodes. Next week, you're going to hear from Colin Blake, who is the Director of Spirits Education at Moonshine University, who runs the Stave and Thief Society. That is the people who give out the Bourbon Steward certifications, of which I am a level 1. They have an executive class pass out. He's going to talk a little bit about that, but he's going to talk about how to pair whiskey with other whiskey, or in other words, make whiskey flights. And I think this is important to start off with because usually when you're pairing whiskey with other things, you have a multitude of whiskeys and a multitude of, whether it's food or cigars, to play with. And so it's important to get a good flight of whiskey, and that's going to be a good first background. So he's going to talk about that. We talk about Stave and Thief Society. We talk about a lot of fun things, so definitely check that one out. The following, you're going to hear from Joe, who's on Instagram at Of Cask and Claro, so you should check him out. Get ready. He's going to talk to us about pairing whiskey with cigars and what he does. This guy is an expert, let me tell you. He's gonna be humble and modest about it in the episode, but he is an expert. And then finally, for our whiskey and food pairing episode, I'm going to have at least one, maybe a couple local restaurants on. When I say local, I mean local to my area in the Baton Rouge area. And they're going to talk about how their food can pair with whiskey and how to pair whiskey and food in general. So that's the schedule. That's what it's looking like. But I want to give you a little bit of background today before we move on to a whiskey review. When you're pairing anything, whether that's food and wine, wine and cigars, anything, whiskey, there's a few different flavor comparisons, if you will. You can, this is very general terms. You'll get more details with the experts in later weeks, but you can complement something and you can contrast something. Now, complementing flavors, that'd be like a smoky scotch with a smoky tasting cigar. They complement each other. They're very similar flavors, and in that way they kind of boost each other. Or you can do something that's contrasting. So that's, again, taking a very smoky scotch and eating a sweet chocolate or dessert with it. Those kind of contrasting flavors, the saltiness and maybe the smokiness, really elevates the separate flavors. And again, I'll get into more details with that, but you're going to hear a lot about complementing and contrasting. And that's what it means. It's very, very simple. Now there's more to it than that. There's even more ways to pair, but that's the very basic way that I know, and that's how I've been moving forward with this. But anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Let's get to a quick whiskey review, and I'll hear from y'all next week with our experts coming on. Thanks for listening, guys. Here's a review. All right, guys, for today's review, I'm trying the Wilderness Trail Bourbon. This is their rye bourbon. It is a store pick from a local store here in Baton Rouge called Martin's Wine Cellar. And this particular bottle comes from a barrel that has a number 4 char, and it's toasted, and it's 4 years and 5 months old. I can tell you I love this pick. I love what Wilderness Trail is doing. I've had a couple of their other picks now, and they are all fantastic. All right, let's get to the nose here. On this one, I get it's spicy on the nose, not alcoholic spicy, although there's a little bit there, and there's a little bit of alcoholic sharpness, but it's spicy, and I get oak. And that's about what I get. And again, this is 4 years old, 4.5 years old. It's young. I do not get much youngness out of this other than maybe a little bit of alcohol sharpness. It is very oaky, but not over oaked in like a small barrel. And has a good spice note to it. All right, moving on to the taste. I get that oak and that char up front. Then it goes into spice, specifically cinnamon, and a little bit of alcoholic sharpness. A little bit of its age is showing there, but it's not. It doesn't taste young. It feels young, if that makes sense. But not too young. It shoots way over its age in flavor and in enjoyment, really. All right, one more taste. Yeah, and on the finish, it's about a medium finish with good char notes. I love that note. That's a really great note for me. I'm an oak fanatic. Overall, I think I'm going to give this one a 3.2 out of 5. It's delicious. It's fantastic. For 4.5 years old, it's really good. I confess I did not pay for this bottle, and I do not know what it actually goes for. And I don't know what it goes for is synonymous with the rest of the picks. So I do not include value in this. That 3.2 comes from just taste. If it's, anywhere from $30 to $50, it would probably bump up the score a little bit in value. Now, much higher than that, I may lower the score. But it's a great bottle. I highly suggest grabbing some Wilderness Trail. If there's any picks around you, get them. Get them now. All right, that's all I got today, y'all. Thanks for listening. Check out, again, next week. On Wednesday, we'll have another study sessions episode. And on Friday, we are going to be beginning this series on whiskey pairings. Thanks for listening, guys. Cheers. Thanks for listening, guys. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you subscribe on whichever player you're using. Leave a comment and leave a 5-star review if you can. Once you've done that, go follow me on Instagram at Bourboneering or on Twitter at InBourbon, or go like our Facebook page, Bourboneering. All this, as well as my Prestige Decanter affiliate link and a link to sign up for a weekly newsletter, are all below. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cheers.